Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker, and I'm your host. And we're always looking for people that are going to inspire you, that are going to help you think differently. And this guest that we have today, he's going to help you get what you want. Well, that sounds pretty awesome. So without further ado, Bruce Turkel, he is here and he has helped some of the world's most compelling brands get what they want. So including like Hasbro, Nike, American Express, I could go on and on. This list here is ridiculously long, but you get the picture. And he's a keynote speaker, he's an author, he's a musician, he's an artist, he's a runner, and, right? Super accomplished. And maybe you've seen him on TV. He's been a frequent guest on CNN or CBS and various others. Perhaps you've read about Bruce. He's been featured in the New York Times, Fast Company, and various other magazines. Perhaps you've heard him speak. He spoke at MIT and Harvard and on TEDx stage, and also is a NSA, National Speakers Association, Hall of Fame speaker. So this guy's pretty good. And maybe you've read about him through his books. He's written 6 books, which is pretty impressive. And let's see, Forbes magazine dubbed him or ranked him in the top 10 business books of the year. So this is a pretty impressive guy. He plays the harmonica. Let's see, I don't even know what that is. Miami R&B band Black Star. So he's in some kind of a band. So maybe he'll pull out his harmonica for us. And I know that he is a doodler, professional doodler. I sat next to him while I was at an event and I watched him as he doodled everybody, and he's pretty good. So without further ado, if you want to get what you want, here's Bruce.
Wow, that was great. Thank you. As you were talking, I was thinking, who is that guy? I want to
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
I was thinking too, that's a cool guy. I hope that you'll maybe give us a little harmonica if you got it there, like,
I just looked around to see where they are. Usually
you don't have it
next to my desk, but
well, we can see all the guitars, so we can see that you're a musical fellow.
But I got a case on mine. There they are. All right.
All right, at the end. We'll save that for the end as a treat.
Sure.
So helping people get what they want. What? Everybody wants that. How do you help me get what I want?
Well, let me
Cut to the chase right now. How do I get it?
It's actually not that hard because I see next to your name that you are a focusologist. And that's the key. That's the secret that most people haven't figured out. When I ran ad agency. We had offices in the US and in Latin America. And one of the things we found is that we would win a new piece of business. I would think we'd do really good work for them. But then 2 or 3 years down the road, when it was time to re-sign the contract, they would say things like, well, we want to see who else is out there. And if you've run a business or you've taken many business courses, you know that while everybody loves new business acquisition, profits are made from retention. You make a lot more money from existing clients.
Absolutely.
Than you do from new clients. And you make more money over a longer period of time if you can keep your clients happy. So as the head of the agency, it was important that I figured out what we needed to do to keep our clients. Because as I said, if we were selling their product and winning design awards and meeting their budgets and all of those things, why wouldn't they stay with us? Well, what I found out was we thought we knew what they wanted, but maybe we actually didn't. But the problem was deeper than that. If you're a marketing person, you do market research, you always ask why. And when you get an answer, you don't go, oh, that's it. You say why. And then when you get another answer, you don't say, oh, that explains it. You say why. And you keep peeling the onion back. So what I discovered was that most of our clients didn't actually know what they wanted. I mean, if you ask them, they'd say, well, we want more business. Okay, that makes sense. But that wasn't entirely true. I'll give you an example. We did a lot of work in travel and tourism. And so I would have this conversation with a client. I would say, I want to make sure that 3 to 5 years from now, when the contract is up, you want to sign with us again. What will that take? And they would say, well, if you increase our business, that's what we're looking for. Maybe they'd give me a percentage. I'd say, okay, how do you measure that. And they'd say, well, we want more people in our hotel rooms. Makes sense. More customers, more money.
Right.
Say, well, if you want more people in the hotel rooms, you don't need us. Just cut your prices in half. And they'd say, what? And I'd say, if you cut your prices in half, you'll get more customers. They said, well, yeah, but we won't make as much money. I said, oh, so you want more money per customer? And they'd say, yeah. And I said, well, then just double your prices. Once again, they'd say, huh? And I'd say, if you double your prices, every time someone hands you your credit card, their credit card, they're going to give you twice as much money. And the man or woman would say, yeah, but then we'll have fewer customers. You don't understand. What I wanted to say was, no, you don't understand. So, what I would say was, oh, so what you mean is you want more customers who spend more money. And they'd say, well, yeah. And I'd say, but that's not what you said. So that's called RevPAR, by the way, revenue per available room. You
Right.
want greater revenue per available room. How much do you want? And they'd say, we want 17%, or we want whatever it was. I'd say, okay.
Right.
So if at the end of 5 years, if we've met your budgets, we've done everything responsibly, we haven't been arrested for anything, and we've met that number, you will re-sign the contract, yes? And they'd say, yes. Because now we knew what they wanted. More importantly, they knew what they wanted, and now they were committed to what they wanted. And we could then say, okay, in order to do that, here's what we need to do. All right, so hold that for a minute. Another quick story, and then I'm done. When I sold the agency, I was looking to figure out what I was going to do next. I knew I wanted to speak more. I wanted to write more books, but I didn't know how I was going to do all this. So I'm a marketing guy. I do market research. So I talked to 50 successful people, about 10 that I knew, and then they would introduce me, or other people would hear what I was doing and, oh, you have to call my friend so-and-so. So I spoke to almost 50 successful people who had changed their lives, some for good reasons, sold their businesses, had some sort of windfall, some for bad reasons, divorce, disease, death in the family, doubt, whatever. And I asked them what they did. That's what I wrote my last book on, Is That All There Is? And I was so intrigued by this question that I continued to ask people, what do you want? And how do you get it? And I pretty much got the same three answers from everybody, which then reminded me, wait, this sounds just like talking to my clients. They think they know what they want, but they don't, because everyone says the same three things. Well, if that's the case, no wonder people aren't getting what they want. They don't actually know what it is they're going after. And so I took the exercises we used in the agency, I modified them to show people how to use them, how to figure it out, and then what to do. And it works.
Well, it's amazing. So add a little conversation in here. So that first story that you told about back and forth with the business, I would think that as you were asking those questions, they would naturally be clear as, oh, I'm telling you something that I want, but I'm not being clear. It reminds me of, what's that movie where she was the devil and what's his name? Brandon Fraser, I think. Anyway, he would make a wish and he'd say, I want to be rich. And so he'd become a drug lord. The devil would make him a drug lord. And then he had these people who were shooting after him. And he was like, no, I don't want this. Right. So he would make all these wishes. He wanted to be loved by everyone, handsome and loved. So they made him a professional sports player, but he like sweat all the, like, it was hysterical. It was the funniest movie.
See that? I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, you have to see it. If it rings for me, I'll put in the show notes and I'll send you afterwards what the movie was,
Okay.
or it'll come to me later. But that's what it reminded me of, is that we, not only do we not know what we want, we don't take the time to step back and really process and be clear and give what we want specificity, right? So like he might have known what he wanted, but he's not communicating it to you. And guaranteed, if he's not communicating it to you, he's not communicating it to his team either, right? Which means that everybody's running as the focusologist, right? Everybody's running in different directions, trying to reach these goals that don't have clarity.
Yeah. I mean, how many times would we ask a client to describe what they do in 2, 3, or 4 words and they couldn't do it? And they'd say, we do this, but we do this, but we do this, but we do that. I'd say, you know something, if you can't tell me what you do, how can your employees tell your customers what you do? And if they can't do it, how do you expect your customers understand what you do? And why would they care? And they just look at you and they kind of do what we used to call the Scooby-Doo head. They just kind of go, yeah, because it's like, huh? What? So.
And so it makes sense to me also that people who are in transition in their life, or or just get to a point where they don't feel like, I love that that's the name of your book, is this all there is? Because I think that's a question that a lot of people come up with. And then the next one is what do they want?
Is that all there
Yeah,
is?
is that all there is? That's great. So let's say somebody who's listening, they're kind of caught in the grind, right? Everything's moving so fast. I don't have time to stop and think about what they want or give it specificity. They just know that they're not happy and they don't want what they have now. What are some simple tips that you can give to get them from this place of meh or wherever they are to a place where they feel like they have more control and they're getting clarity?
Well, you said a lot of things, Penny, that are worth unpacking in that question. You said everything's moving so fast and they're moving so fast that they don't have time to stop and think about what they want. But they have time to do those things that they don't want to do because they think that's what's moving them forward. So there's a huge disconnect there. Wait, you don't like what you're doing. You don't have time to work on what you want to do, but you have time to do what it is you don't like what you're doing, but you're unhappy with what you're doing, which makes you want to do something else, but you don't have time. I mean, that's just, there's a word for it that we can't.
Great.
Goat rodeo is the word that we can use in mixed company and keep your Apple family friendly rating on your podcast. So they're creating a giant goat rodeo. And someone has to say, whoa, stop. You need to look at this with a more empirical viewpoint, not simply your emotional, crazed. I had a friend recently who had a couple of really bad things happen to him. He got laid off. Same time his wife told him she's filing for divorce. And so now he's got to find a job and he's got to decide what to do. And he has all these crazy things going on. And he has a mentor that he works with and he was going to call his mentor. But his mentor said, listen, I'm on my way to trip of a lifetime, Iceland, 2 weeks. I need to spend time with you. I can't do it for 2 weeks. Is that okay? And my friend said, yeah, she's not coming back and the job's not coming back. 2 weeks is not going to change things. So I saw him a day before his mentor came back. And he said, you know what? It's really good that I didn't see him when I called him, but we waited 2 weeks because now I can actually stop and think instead of being so overwhelmed by the adrenaline coursing through my veins and the depression and all these things. But now, I've come to grips with it and I understand, and she's not so wrong. And yeah, we had problems and I get it. And my boss, okay, I know I'm partially to blame. And he went through all that because he had time now, not for good reasons, but he had time to stop and think. But why do we have to have that time imposed on us unnaturally when in fact we could say, I'm going to just dedicate a little bit of time to figuring this out. So you asked, what do you do? As I said, you asked a lot of questions all right.
Yeah. What do you do? And by the way, I call that, right? That to me, these are reset moments. So we need to give ourselves space to reset, to step back and really take in the situation and see it for what it is so that we can decide what's next. So right. Absolutely. So yeah, I think everybody would love to hear what are some of those steps that you take people through in that process.
So stop and breathe is a really good one. Exactly. Another one, these are much more complicated, but I'm just going to try to give them to you quickly.
Yeah.
Another one is to figure out whose life you're leading. If you're not happy with what it is you're doing, there's a reason why you got to where you are. It might be because you bought the condo and the BMW and you had to pay them off. It might be because you have school loans. It could be financial pressure or who you marry or whatever. I don't know why.
Right.
But it's important to figure out, how did you get there? There was a moment in time when what you're doing seemed like a good idea. It might be you're living your parents' life, the one they wanted for you.
Right.
They wanted you to go to law school or to medical school or whatever. It could be you're leading a guidance counselor's life or a religious leader's life or a spouse's life. It could be you're leading a life that a bully wanted for you when they told you you're no good, and you're proving to them, therefore yourself. So you don't have to share this with anybody else. This is just you. Why are you leading the life you're leading? I was listening to NPR one day, and the reporter, who was clearly young, was interviewing a man who was in his mid-70s, and he was apparently the leading oral surgeon in the world. He had invented all these techniques. He's very wealthy, very renowned, really good at what he does. And now he's quitting. And he's going to do, I forget what it was, but one of those woo-woo jobs. He was going to be a sail maker or a candle maker or raise goats or llamas or whatever. I don't remember. We'll use llamas because they're funny. He was going to raise llamas. So the reporter says to him, why are you going to raise llamas? He says, well, I've always loved llamas. When I was a kid, I went to Peru and I saw these llamas and I've always wanted to raise llamas. Oh, okay. Well, why didn't you raise llamas before? Well, because I was in school and then I wanted to get into medical school and then I went to dental school and then I became an oral surgeon and then I did all these things. He says, so why did you decide to do it now? And the guy says, well, because I've accomplished all these things that you listed in my introduction and enough's enough. And he said, I decided I don't want to live someone else's life. And the reporter says to him, whose life are you living? And he said, a 17-year-old boy. And the reporter didn't understand it. And the guy, he says, what? And the guy says, well, you know what? If a 17-year-old boy today told me what I should be doing from 75 to however more I'm going to live, I wouldn't listen to him. So why the heck am I listening to a 17-year-old boy now? And the reporter still didn't understand, but we all did. He was talking about himself. That when he was in high school, going into college, when he was 17, he decided to be an oral surgeon. And he did really well at it. But now it was time to live someone else's life, his own. So that's number one. Figure that out. And it might be like this guy, you are living your life, but now you're someone else. So you want to do something else. Number two, you need to figure out where you are, what I call UQ, uniquely qualified. It's easy to figure out what you're bad at, and it's easy to figure out what you're average at because you don't do those things. I'm bad at accounting, so I hire an accountant. I'm bad at cooking, so we go out to eat a lot. I'm a good cook. But my point is, we go out to eat a lot, right? Because I don't like to cook. I'm bad at ironing, so I take my clothes to the cleaners. That's easy. It's easy to figure out what you're adequate at. I could mow the lawn, but I'd rather pay somebody to do it. I could clean the pool, but I'd rather pay somebody to do it. But the things you're good at, those are the things we like to do. We get attaboys, people, attagirls, people pat us on the head. They go, wow, that was really good. Mm-hmm. Many of us stop there. We stop at what we're good at and we become good at those things. So there's lots of good lawyers and good dentists and good seamstresses and good everything else. Or if it's not about making money, good gardeners or good bakers or good musicians or whatever. But the trick is to figure out what you are uniquely qualified to do. What is it that you can do that nobody else can? And by the way, that's not so easy.
I was just going to say, so let's just unpack that. There's a lot of people that might feel, you know what? That's great that you can play the guitar and the harmonica and you're awesome at this and that, but I don't have anything I'm really great at.
But let me show you.
What do you say to that person?
Let me show you how that works. If you take one thing that I'm really good at, I'm really not that good of a guitar player, but I am a good harmonica player. Okay, I'm a good harmonica player. You know what? So what? Good harmonica players are a dime a dozen. I'm sorry to say good harmonica players are 50. I mean, a penny a dozen. Not because there's anything wrong with it. I wish I was, but there's lots of good ones out there. But it's not about one thing. So when I ran the ad agency, for example, I'm really good at coming up with ideas for our clients. I just do. I don't know why. It's a gift. There's things I can't do. There's things I can do. I can come up with new ways of looking at things. I see patterns, like that movie. I see dead people, but I see patterns. Okay. But lots of creative people do that. Lots of them in our office did that. And some of them were better than me. But I'm also good because I can, as you said, I can draw and I can play music and I can write and I can present and I can speak and I can play music. So I can then express my ideas. It's not just a matter of coming up with them, but I can also express them. We had lots of really good creative people. But if I would say, hey, Tom, go show Penny, our client, go show Penny the program we just did. What do I say to her? I don't know how, right? So all of a sudden, the fact that we were both good at coming up with ideas, but now I have this other skill. And then I have a third skill, which is I can get people excited about those things. Maybe it's from being a musician. Maybe it's from being on stage. Maybe it's God-given talent. I don't know. But the truth is, when I get my clients with a new idea, they're excited. So I can come up with the ideas, I can express the ideas, and I can get them excited. That combination, what I call a skill stack, is very rare. I'm not showing off, Penny. You have a skill stack as well. And every single person watching this program has their own skill stack. One thing, not unless you're the best of the best of the best, unless you're the Tiger Woods of golf, being a really good golfer ain't enough. But a really good golfer who's bilingual or trilingual so they could be successful in other countries, who is gorgeous or who knows how to speak to reporters or whatever you want to, all of a sudden you have this other thing. And we all have it. You don't have to be the best.
I love the skill stack that it's the combination of those, like a telephone number, right? Everybody's got a different telephone number.
But it uses
It
the
might
same
be the
number.
same numbers, they're just in different orders, right? And that order matters, right?
So if you can figure that out, all of a sudden things change. So, for example, I went through all this myself. I'm saying it like bang, 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 but I mean, it takes
Right.
work. I have charts and graphs. I can show you how to do it that you can lay it all out on. It takes work. But when I sold the agency, when I figured it out, I said, okay, so I have this skill stack. I see things differently. I come up with great ideas. I can express those ideas and I can get people excited about them. Then I look down to the bad part of this chart that I made. What am I bad at? And the things that I'm bad at tend to be things with repetition, with details. I don't have a lot of patience. I don't have a great attention span. I just am not interested in those things. So I said, okay, moving forward, I want to do things where I can do things differently. I can express those things and I can get people excited about them. And then I'm done. Keynote speaking, bam, right in that sweet spot. Writing books, right in that sweet spot. Yes, I'll work for months without lifting my head to write the book. But when it's done, it's done. I now do consulting, marketing consulting, but I don't do the implementation. I say, when I'm done, I'm giving you the ideas. I'm giving you everything. I'm out. Someone said to me once, it's a longer story, which I'll spare you, but they said, so you're like a jack in the box. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we just ship you somewhere. We press the button, you jump out and you go, right. And then we put you back in the box and send you away. I said, first I was pissed because I thought he was, but the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what? He's absolutely right. I'm a jack in the box. That's what I want to do. I want to use my
Who's in
talent,
the box?
get excited about them, help other people, and then I'm off to the next one. So now I know the parameters around where I'm going to find happiness. And so where I'm going to find success, where I'm going to find fulfillment. Now, I have to find those opportunities and I have to go out and make them happen. No one said this stuff was easy. However, it's a lot easier knowing what I want to do. When I left the agency, I was offered a job in an international network of agencies. And the money was quite good. We'd have to move, but that's okay. Our kids are gone. It wasn't a problem. But it was administration. And so I said to my wife, I'm not going to do it. And she said, you're not going to do it for X amount of money? I said, no. She said, well, what if they paid you X plus Y? No. Finally, she got to it. I'm like, okay, if they offer me that, well, I'd have to think twice. But the truth is, if they offered me the job where I was the international creative director and I would fly to their office in London and help the team put together the presentation, and we'd make the presentation, and then I'd get in a plane and I'd fly to Florence and their Italian agent, right? I'd love that job.
Right.
But if I had to be the one who had to fill out all the forms and do, there's not a chance in hell that I would do that. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't done this work.
Yeah.
I would have thought, oh my God, that job looks great. Yeah, there's some administration stuff, but I can do that. But I can't. I mean, I can, but I'm bad or adequate at it. So if this took too long or was too roundabout, I'm sorry. But
No. I get it. And I think it was important that everybody heard it. And I mean, I think that I don't know about everyone, but like I have a moment in my life where that happened for me too, right? Where I needed to get clear and I didn't want to continue down a path that I was living someone else's dreams and what someone else wanted to achieve. And I think that for those people who are listening, either they've had a moment like that in the past that they can reference and know that it works, or now's the time, right? Then this is a wake-up call. It's a reset moment for them to go, you know what? This is exactly what I need to do is dig a little deeper and see why I'm doing what I'm doing and find my own path.
What's the old Zen saying? There's two times to plant an oak tree, 20 years ago or right now.
Right. Bam. Bada boom. Awesome. With that, I'm going to say, well, we're at the end of people's attention span. Boom. Drop the mic. We can always meet again and talk about some of your other great stories and tips. Maybe just to close out, before you tell us where we can find out all about you, can you give us a little music?
Sure. Let me give it to you with a little example.
Okay.
So there was a guy, we all know him, named Johann Sebastian Bach, and he wrote this, right? And then 200 years later, there's a guy named Sonny Boy Williamson. You might not know his name, but he wrote stuff that was done by Eric Clapton, the Yardbirds, the Animals, Led Zeppelin, and he wrote a song called Peachy Tree, which goes like this. Okay, so I know what you're thinking, which is, why are you doing this? Because both of those guys, Johann Sebastian Bach, Sonny Boy Williamson, are as different can be. Both of those pieces of music are as different can be. But they both use the same 7 notes. Oop, I got a dead reed, but it would be there if the reed wasn't there.
Right.
All right. Every piece of Western music ever written uses the same 7 notes. Yet you love Adele but hate Billy Joel. You love, gosh, I can't even think of the Black Eyed Peas, but you hate some other band. It doesn't matter. The point is, every piece of music uses those building blocks.
Right.
So it's the same thing when people look at their lives. We all have the same skills and talents. Not all of them. Some people are good at some things and some people are good at others. But to your point earlier, we all have those notes. But Sonny Boy Williamson and Johann Sebastian Bach took those notes and they put them in different orders. Every piece of art ever used uses the same colors, Roy G. Bibb. That's all there is: red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, and blue. That's it. Oh, lilac and blue. I'm sorry. That's it. That's all there is. Yes, there's variations on a theme. You can make them darker. You can make them lighter. You can,
Right.
Yellowish or a little purplini or something, but they're all the same. Every book written in English uses the same 26 letters. Dr. Seuss went on beyond zebra, but no one else has. So we all come to this with the same issues, the same problems.
Mm.
As I always tell clients when they say, well, I don't understand because we can't do that or we can't do this, but my story is different, but my background's
Of
different.
course.
All of our stories are different. The facts are always different, but the truths are the same.
Ooh, love that.
And so if we consider that, all of a sudden you realize you got just as much shot as anyone else. Some things hold you back, some things hold them back, some things push you forward, but you got to know what they are. If you don't know what they are, how do you actually use them? And what I find, it's not a lack of skill, talent, drive, interest, ability. It's a lack of knowledge. People don't know what they got. They focus on the negative, not on the positive. They're much more likely to be insecure about what they can't do instead of being positive about what they can do. And they don't understand the concept of skill stacking. That skill stacking and recognizing skill stacking changes everything.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for
My pleasure. Thanks
sharing
for
this.
Sorry, I had a dead read. I didn't check ahead of time. I should have.
Oh, that's okay. We heard enough to notice the difference and appreciate what you've got to offer there for sure. So where's the best place for people to get a hold of your books, to see more about your speaking, where they could hire you?
Remember, I'm a marketing guy, right? So if you're a marketing guy, you realize that the only way people can do something with you is if they can find you. And the only way they can find you is if you keep it simple. KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? So it's all my name. My website is bruceturkel.com. My email address is bruce@bruceturkel.com.
Yeah.
If you go to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, it's all under Bruce Turkel.
All right.
1L, Turkel, Bruce Turkel. It's right there in the corner. My phone number is on my website. Call me and I'll actually answer the phone. It all works.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was really awesome.
It was a treat. I really appreciate you inviting me. And you are a great interviewer and you actually did your research up front, which I truly respect because you focus.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you. And thank you all for being here. And I think that we can all, no matter whether you've done this process before and you know exactly who you are and where you're going and what drives you, we change. Things change, circumstances change. So it's always a good time. When is now a good time? I love that, to plant
an oak tree. 20
Was
years
it an oak tree?
ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago or right now. So everybody who's listening, right now is a perfect time to take what I call a reset moment. Just take a couple minutes after you listen to this and step back and look on your calendar for some me time that you can actually schedule so that you are planning the time to have a little think about this. And I'm definitely going to do this. I'm going to spend a little time next weekend. I got a lot going on, so I'm not going to do it during the week. I'm going to make a realistic time and I'm going to really take a step back and take a look. So thank you all for being here. Bruce, you got something else?
If you don't mind me interrupting, one suggestion. Ask people who know you and care about you. What am I good at? What am I bad at? Don't worry, you're not going to insult me. What do you know that I'm good at that I don't see? You're going to get some surprising answers. And a lot of them are going to be about things that you thought you were at. You said meh before, right? you thought you were meh at, and other people go, oh my God, no, you're amazing at that.
Right. It's because it comes easy, right? If something comes easy, then you don't recognize
That's
that
right.
you're actually really good at it.
That's right.
So anyway, thank you everybody for being here. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.